Hello everyone and happy Sunday. It may not be Sunday when you're watching this video, but it's Sunday for me. So sorry I didn't dress up for you guys, but I will in my next video. But in the meantime, please subscribe, like this video, share it with someone, because I'm going to drop some major tips for you today on how to protect your hair, repair your hair, and grow it down to your ass crack, baby. So originally this idea came from Instagram. I did a poll on Instagram because I was showing off my hair growth. If you're not following me, check the description. It is below, has my link tree. Let's get straight into this video. I'm just gonna give a brief backstory on why we are here making this video today. Honestly, I've been natural since 2017 and I've been trying so many different methods, and I've been paying attention, jotting down notes, and experimenting, and this is what I've came down to on how to protect your hair, how to grow it beautifully, healthy, and give you that length that you've been wanting. So before I even get into the tips, you have to know your hair texture. There are different hair textures. So this video is specifically for hair textures 3B to 4C, okay? Anything before that, which is 2A to 3A, those hair textures are more straight, wavy, and loose curls. So this doesn't apply for that hair texture. Type 2A to 3A hair is, like I said, straighter, wavier, and more of loose curls. That hair type absorbs moisture and oil easier. So they have to consistently wash their hair more because their hair type absorbs more. Understand? Now, type 3B to 4C absorbs less, so we have to consistently put more moisture and oil so our hair locks that in, so our hair grows nicely and healthier. You don't want dry and brittle hair. So tip number 1, you have to do hair manipulation. Now, what I mean by hair manipulation is braids, okay? So it doesn't specifically have to be this style, but it's highly recommended. Now, I know more people prefer the larger knotless braids, and don't get me wrong, I love my large knotless braids. I love it. But the reason why it is just a style and not a protective style is because the smaller your braids are, the more manipulation that you're causing in order to make that hair grow out more. You have to do smaller braids to get more manipulation. That's 1. Tip number 2. When you are doing these small braids, make sure that you are treating your hair and putting in moisture. So when you braid your hair or get your hair braided, you're locking in that moisture and oil. Because remember, type 3B to 4C is curly to coily. It is not absorbing as much oil and moisture. You have to do more work. You have to put in more moisture and you have to lock it in. It's not enough to just pass it on your hair, put the oil in, and just leave your hair out. Not saying you can't leave your hair out, but if you want to repair your hair and you want to promote more growth, you have to do more protective styles. Even with the wigs, do small cornrows when you're doing your braiding patterns, okay? I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into the wigs. Tip number 3 is less washing. You have to wash your hair less if you have type 3B to 4C hair. Like I said earlier, the reason why is because we don't lock in as much moisture when you apply it to your hair. Why? Because our hair is more curly and coily. So in order to do that, you have to shampoo less. 2A to 3A hair absorbs moisture and oil better because their hair is straighter. Haven't you realized when you're doing your wigs or your weaves and you put too much oil in it, now the hair is too heavy and it absorbs the oil more. If you try to do the same with 3B to 4C hair, it's not going to be the same. The oil's literally just going to sit there. It's not going to move around. It's not going to do nothing. You have to part out your hair. You have to detangle your hair. You have to do small sections and apply the moisture. Apply the oil to your scalp. Apply it on the hair too. That's another thing. When you apply your moisture in sections, once you apply the moisture, then you apply the oil. The oil locks in that moisture. That leads us back to tip 1 and tip 2. When you're detangling your hair and you're applying the moisture, you apply the oil after, then you braid and do your small manipulation braids. That's how you lock in that moisture. Constantly oil your scalp. Listen, your bodies are always talking to you. When your scalp feels a little itchy, means 2 things. Your scalp is dirty and it needs some rinsing, or it is dry. Rinse your scalp. Do not shampoo. You only rinse. Only rinse. Not only is rinsing your hair with water a moisturizer, but it also rinses out the excess products that doesn't need to be there anymore. Then you apply more moisture and more oil to your hair. Only shampoo your hair once a month. If you want to see healthier hair, your hair repaired, and more growth, only shampoo your hair once a month. Tip number 4 is longevity. Now, what I mean by longevity is keeping your braiding patterns or your braids in for a long period of time. I didn't say going a year, 2 years, because you won't grow some fungi, okay? But keep it in for a certain period of time. I'd say the most growth I've seen was this year. I cut my hair in February. This was my hair in February, right? And in July, I braided my hair, did a hairstyle, and I kept the braiding pattern in for 4 months. And this was my hair in October. Major growth. If you follow these steps, I promise you, you will see more growth. If your hair is severely damaged, I highly suggest just starting over. If you don't have to. These are just suggestions, okay? If you wear wigs and you have your braiding pattern in, keep it in for 2 to 3 months. Keep it in for 2 to 3 months. If it's still flat and it's not making your wig bulky, shoot, keep it in for longer. Just rinse your hair. For the most part, keep your braiding pattern in 2 to 3 months. If you have in box braids, like myself, knotless braids, I had this in for almost a month. I'm probably gonna keep it in for another month. It's not that much. Maybe the roots in the front might be a little messy, but you have to practice longevity. I understand we all want to be celebrities and switch it up all the time. Trust me, I do too. If you've seen my Instagram, girl, I switch it up all the time, but I keep those braiding patterns in. It might be a new wig all the time, but it's still the same braiding patterns. I promise you. Tip number 5. Pay attention to your ends. You have to pay attention to your ends. You have to consistently trim your ends, right? If you do not trim your ends, that can be very vital. Step number 6. This is the last step. You must pay attention to your scalp as well. Your ends and your scalps are very important. If your scalp is not healthy, that means that the new growth isn't going to be healthy. Constantly moisturize your scalp, because if your scalp is dry, you're going to have dry, brittle, new growth. And if your new growth in your scalp is dry, that leads to breakage, and breakage leads to balding, bald spots, thinning hair, hair loss, possible alopecia. It's very possible. You have to eat properly as well. Diet plays in that as well. I'll make another video another day for the diet part, but you have to have a good supply of blood flow to the scalp. When you're putting the moisturizer in and the oil in, massage your scalp for a few minutes. Just sit there and massage it in. You have to have circulation to the scalp. I am a hairstylist that do frontals, the closures, the weave, the wigs, etc. So I will make a separate video on how to take care of your hair when you have in a wig. Besides that, if I missed anything, or if you need more information, you know, anything that you want me to go over, anything that you want me to make a video about, please comment below, and I will see you guys in the next video.